Secondly, there are certain breeds of fish which are endemic to Assam and its neighborhood, as I just mentioned. Scientists and conservationists, time and again, they have laid maximum emphasis on the conservation of these rare breeds of fish. But the Muslim immigrants, continuously, they have undone all these conservation efforts. So we need to understand why and how it has been possible for these people to do whatever they are doing. Such acts of vandalism against Hindu temples and namghars are quite common in their areas where Muslims have become a majority. They are planned, they are done with a sinister agenda with a sinister intent they are committed by a circle, by a gang which has been responsible for inciting and radicalizing the local Muslim youth. The Congress party was seen as the traditional security provider to the Muslims of Assam. But with the emergence of the BJP and especially after the scrapping of the IMDT Act, IMDT is the Illegal Migrants Determination by Tribunal Act in 2005. After this act was scrapped, the Muslims more or less abandoned the Congress party and switched their loyalty to the far more radical AIUDF.
Namaste, Ankita ji, and welcome to SmJ119 again.
Namaste. Namaste, Ravishankar ji. Namaste, Vidya ji. And to one and all in the audience and the entire team of SmJ119 Clubhouse.
Thank you. I think actually we can start as usual with the introduction from Vidya ji, and then we will take it forward.
Namaste and a very good morning to everyone here. It's our joy and privilege to have with us on this platform of SmJ119 for the third time an amazing speaker who knows to keep her audience spellbound with all facts and figures at her fingertips. She is none other than Dr. Ankita Dutta. Such a pleasure to have you with us once more, Ankita ji. Ankita ji, who calls Assam her home and has done her doctorate from JNU on traditional belief systems, is a dedicated researcher, an avid writer, a columnist, as well as an expert on studies of Hindu cultural heritage and civilization of the northeast of Bharat. Her intense research for both Indic Academy as well as Indus University, Ahmedabad, got her to travel extensively and carry out studies, including that on Shakti worship in the northeast of Bharat. Ankita ji, along with her research, has also designed as well as taught several courses on the culture and civilization of the northeast of Bharat. A committed columnist and an avid writer, Ankita ji, who has written over 70 plus articles for Mind Makers, is currently co-authoring a 3-part book with co-authors Srimati Manoshi Sinha Rahul and Sri Adityanath Vladimir. The book, which is titled The Manipur Conundrum, History, Conversion and Exodus, will be published shortly. Today, despite all the joy of having Ankita ji back with us here on this platform of SmJ119, the reason that she needs to present this talk and why we listeners who truly love Bharat need to hear it with rapt attention is pretty much grim and alarming. Why should we take immediate notice of the demographic changes in Assam? What is Operation Lebensraum? Are we comfortable with Assam's current population ratio, where 1 out of 3 persons in Assam is a Muslim? Why has Assam's Chief Minister Himanda Biswa Sarma pointed out a connection between the Dhing rape incident and the land encroachment tactics? Why did the foreign media portray the eviction drive in 2021 as an anti-Muslim movement? Why did the Assam agitation happen in the 1980s? Why are the institutions of Assam silent about the anti-Indian stance of students from Bangladesh? What is the CM stance on the Miya Muslims of Assam? What is going to be the impact of illegal immigration in Assam? How is it going to affect the rest of our country? And the latest decision taken by Assam CM Himanda Biswa Sarma, no NRC, no Aadhaar. Why should there be stricter steps to identify illegal foreigners? This and many, many more eye-opening, difficult details will be discussed in today's talk by Dr. Ankita Dutta. Ankita ji, thank you so much for joining us today. We know that it isn't easy for you to come forward so courageously with all this important information that you're about to share. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very grateful to have you on this platform. Over to you.
Namaste. Thank you so much for that humble introduction, Vidya ji. It's always a pleasure to be back in your channel. I eagerly look forward for the conversation.
I think we can start the conversation, Ankita ji. We'll start with
Sure.
the history of illegal immigration to Assam. And I think how it has started and how it has become such a mess that we are seeing at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, this is a very important question to begin with. Now, see, when we are talking about the history, the peculiarity of this immigration problem in Assam began predominantly in the late 19th century. This was when the native people of Assam had started employing cheap labor from the surrounding regions, especially the region which is present-day Bangladesh, East Bengal, to work in their farms and agricultural fields. This was the time after repeated incursions of the Burmese, because of the Burmese invasions in the northeast, especially Assam and Manipur. The invasions had thoroughly depopulated the region. Uh, but it was after the discovery of tea in Assam during the British period that tribes were brought in from the from the present day Chotanagpur Tetu region to work as laborers in the large British-owned tea estates. And gradually and slowly, migrants looking for job prospects in the oil fields of Assam, they were naturally attracted towards this region. The British, they were attracted more to the fertile riverine areas of the Brahmaputra River. They wanted to increase their agricultural productivity. But the people of Assam, they were not ready to work as servants of the British government at low wages. See, they were a proud people with a rich heritage and a rich ancestry. So they did not want to work as servants of a foreign government. So this was when the British government facilitated the immigration of a large number of landless Bengali Muslim peasants from the present day Memensingh region of Bangladesh to Assam. And these people from Memensingh, who came from Memensingh in Bangladesh, over a period of time in Assam, they came to be addressed as Memensinghiya Muslims. These people were extremely hardworking. They were ready to work for low wages, and therefore the British decided to use them as cheap labor for cultivation of the vast tracts of fertile agricultural land in the riverine areas of the Brahmaputra. Now, coming to the period from 1937 to 46, because certain important changes took place during this period when the Muslim League ministry was ruling in Assam at that time under the leadership of Muhammad Sadullah. This was the time when there was an extremely well-planned and well-coordinated effort, I would say, to encourage the migration, the wholesale migration of Bangladeshi Muslims into Assam, all with the objective of nourishing a vote bank, a political vote bank. Now, after 1947, that is after the partition, we all know about how the Assam-Bangladesh border is, how porous it is. So that porous border, as a result of that porous border, unabated migration of Bangladeshis continued after 1947 for the next several decades. Now, to deal with the situation of the ever-increasing migrant population, in the 1940s, a demand came up to extend the ILP. ILP is the inner line permit system in the Assam plains as well, because by that time, this system, the ILP, was already in operation in the hill areas of the Northeast. By the hill areas of the Northeast, I mean the present-day states of Nagaland, Meghalaya, Mizoram. Okay, so by that time, this inner line permit system, which restricted the entry of foreigners and outside immigrants, there was a demand to implement the system in Assam as well, because the ILP was considered, it was thought of as a solution, as a way to stop the immigration of Muslims into Assam. But the Central Congress leadership of that time, and as well as the Muslim League, they did not support this proposal for obvious reasons. And the Muslim League was vehemently opposed to it. It even went to the extent of threatening to organize a mass civil disobedience against any attempt to impose ILP or any other such system in the plain areas of Assam. So ILP remained a non-starter in Assam, although the hills of the northeast enjoyed the protection of the resources being offered to them under the ILP system. But of course, it came at the cost of their dharmic faiths and belief systems, which were gradually subsumed by Christianity. But that is a different debate altogether. I wouldn't go into that right now. Now, coming to the period after the partition. So, during the period of Muhammad Sadullah, the Muslim League ministry in Assam, which I just mentioned, there was an attempt to increase the migration of Muslims, and it was done deliberately. Now, after partition till 1971, so this is the period from 1947 to 1971, till the time Bangladesh was created as a separate nation. This was the period from 1947 to 1971 when Assam saw two big waves of refugee influx. A continuous stream of politically victimized minorities, and majority of these minorities were the Bengali-speaking Hindu refugees from East Pakistan. They were the victims of political and religious persecution in Bangladesh. They were coming and settling down in the Brahmaputra Valley. And on the other hand, there were the Muslim migrants from East Pakistan. These were the land-hungry peasants and cultivators about whom I have already mentioned. But by now, by the late 1960s and the early 1970s, a deep sense of insecurity had come to prevail among the common public of Assam because the demographic change was alarming. The threat to their culture, the threat to their language, the shrinking resources of the state, all this was imminent. In fact, the issue of immigration has been a deeply complex and sensitive one, for that matter, in the identity politics of Assam. Every single election in the state since 1947, every single election in the state has been fought around the issue of immigration. But at least till 2016, not a single government after winning the elections, they bothered to undertake any strong political measure to address this problem. So it eventually culminated in one of the largest public mobilizations, that is the Assam movement, one of the largest public mobilizations in post-independent India. The Assam movement was led by the All Assam Students Union, ASU for short. It began from the Mangaldoy Lok Sabha constituency in 1979. And in this constituency, from where the movement began, about 15% more people were miraculously reported to have appeared in the electoral rolls almost overnight. And the agitators of the ASU, the All Assam Students Union, despite their strong demand to undertake a full-fledged revision of the electoral rolls before conducting any elections in the state, the Congress party went ahead with the assembly elections. And so this was the assembly elections of 1980. So without correcting the electoral rolls, without undertaking any revision, the Congress party went ahead with conducting the assembly elections of 1980. There was this Muslim lady, I remember, Anwara Taimur. She was elected as the first woman chief minister of Assam, who held the office for a very short period of time from 1980 to 1981. But the volatile socio-political situation that Assam was going through at that time, the choice of this Muslim lady, Anwara Taimur, as the chief minister on the part of the Congress party was a strategic decision. And it was from this time onwards that the Congress came to be identified as an all-time appeaser of the Muslim vote bank in Assam. So the message was clear from the Congress party. The Muslim vote bank in Assam would continue to be nurtured and protected, and we are not going to compromise it under any eventuality. And this lady, Anwara Taimur, she was elected to the State Legislative Assembly of Assam from this place called Dolgaon. Dolgaon is a constituency in the Dorong district of Lower Assam, which was at that time, and in fact, it still is. It is heavily dominated by Bangladeshi immigrants. A few years back, I remember there is this senior advocate of the Supreme Court of India, Upamanyu Hazarika, who had mentioned that there exist numerous villages in this particular district, Dorong district, where the Muslim immigrants not only outnumber the native Assamese people, but the native people have been pushed into, they have almost been eliminated, and they live in ghetto-like dwellings in their own ancestral lands. He had mentioned it himself. Even when we look at the census data of 2011, there was a steep rise in the immigrant population in several districts of Assam. And these are the districts which are the border districts bordering Bangladesh. Muslims constituted almost more than 30%. I think 30.9% of the population in the census of 2001, but their share in the total population of the state jumped to 34.2% in the census of 2011. There was a report, this report was titled Illegal Immigration into Assam, which was submitted to the then President of India, K.R. Narayanan, by the then Governor of Assam, retired S.K. Sinha, in 1998, which clearly showed that the Muslim population of Assam had risen by more than 77% in 1991 from what it was in 1971. But comparatively, in the same period, the Hindu population had risen by a mere 41.8%. So there has been a continuous decline in the Hindu population in Assam, and this is not due to any out-migration of Hindus from Assam, and also it does not imply a decline in their numerical strength as far as I have understood, but this decline in the population of the Hindus has been mainly due to the addition and influx of a huge number of immigrant Muslims into the state.
So Ankita ji, we know about the AIUDF. So do tell us about Bradruddin Ajmal, his about the rise of Bradruddin Ajmal, and what has the impact been of the illegal immigration nexus.
Yeah. So perfume baron, this Maulana Bradruddin Ajmal, self-professed liberals or secularists might agree or might not agree with me, but the rise to power of this person, this Maulana, in the political scenario of Assam has been aided by the rapidly changing demography of the state. Nobody can deny this. And the gradual reach and expansion of this party, that is the AIUDF, which is the All India United Democratic Front, the expansion of his party among the largely uneducated Bangladeshi Muslims, both in terms of vote share and seat sharing, proves this fact quite well. But this is true for only few districts in Lower Assam. So his party, the AIUDF, and Ajmal's popularity, we can't say that his popularity is among all Muslims of the state or all districts in the state, but this is true for only a certain districts in Lower Assam. I'll come to that why. Now, the BJP, had the overwhelming victory of the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections of 2014 in Assam. It saw the simultaneous consolidation of the Muslim vote in favor of the AIUDF. So the emergence of the AIUDF in the electoral politics of Assam disturbed the traditional Muslim support base of the Congress party, because the Congress party, till the emergence of the AIUDF, the Congress party was seen as the traditional security provider to the Muslims of Assam. But with the emergence of the BJP, and especially after the scrapping of the IMDT Act, IMDT is the Illegal Migrants Determination by Tribunal Act in 2005. After this act was scrapped, the Muslims more or less abandoned the Congress party and switched their loyalty to the far more radical AIUDF. This was because the Muslim community of the state was greatly annoyed when the IMDT Act of 1983 was scrapped in the in the wake of the 2006 Legislative Assembly elections in Assam. And although the Congress party tried its level best to appease them by bringing the Foreigners Tribunal for Assam Order of 2006, but that was not quite enough to conciliate the Muslim society. But yes, it would be certainly wrong to project the AIUDF as the only undisputed political party of the Muslims of Assam, because there are far more rapidly fundamentalist Islamic groups like Ahle Sunnat, Nadiyatul Tamir, and all of that, which have a strong presence in the Barak Valley. Barak Valley is the southern part of Assam bordering Bangladesh. It comprises of the three districts of Kachar, Karimganj, and Hailakandi. And these far more radical Islamic groups, which are active in the Barak Valley, which have a strong base in the Barak Valley, they have always been strongly antagonistic of Bradruddin Ajmal and his AIUDF. Now, the problem of illegal immigration in Assam from across the border with Bangladesh, it is a serious political, economic, and demographic issue. We should not communalize this issue. This is not a communal issue. And I have been repeatedly saying this, it is more a matter of saving a community's culture, its civilization, and not simply its religious identity. The economic survival. How has the economic survival of these illegal Bangladeshis been possible over the years? Because they have been able to politically capture power with the help of dubious documents such as forged voter ID cards, ration cards, etc., through a corrupt politician bureaucrat nexus. But it is the attempt to be politically correct every time, which has led us to overlook or completely ignore the gruesome reality of a disproportionate increase in the Muslim population of Assam over the past few decades. And the expansionist nature of the Muslim society has been coupled with the rapid increase in the number of masjids and madrasas everywhere, especially in the border districts of the state such as Dhubri and Borpeta. And it has made the native Assamese population fearful of the consequences of their future. Because what if they become a minority in their own state in the near future? So this is a serious emotional sentiment. But, the usage of certain words such as Islamophobia or xenophobia, this implies denigrating this genuine sense of fear and insecurity, which have now come to haunt the common public of Assam over an uncertain future. The change is really alarming. It is very dangerous, and especially so with the presence of parties like the AIUDF, the strength of which lies in primarily being a Muslim party that openly espouses the Bangladeshi Muslim cause.
Understood. Vidya, you are mentioning about actually the mosque cropping up everywhere and all that. Usually the illegal immigration is coupled with encroachment also. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, true. Yes. I'll take some time to explain this problem. So before going into the details of this problem, land encroachment, I would like to bring to the attention of our audience as to how these illegal immigrants from Bangladesh, they are working with a well-formulated agenda, a well-planned modus operandi for land grabbing and land encroachment. And this agenda, this modus operandi involves different methods of acquiring land. So sometimes they legally purchase land. Sometimes lands are purchased outside of the official procedure. In a majority of the cases, however, lands are encroached upon illegally. Also, many a times, Assamese people, our very own people, they engage immigrant Muslim laborers to work in their fields and farms at low wages, and then they sublet their land to these immigrants, which eventually allow these immigrants to establish their foothold in that particular area and settle down permanently with their families. Indigenous people, the indigenous Assamese people, sometimes they also mortgage their lands to these same immigrants. There have also been numerous instances, and which I have personally come across during my studies, in which the immigrants compel the indigenous people, the native people, to move out to other places by creating terror in their localities. And this terror can take numerous forms, the most common being robberies in Hindu homes, harassing Hindu girls and women. And most importantly, these people have money. They are any day ready to pay any amount of money in return for land. It is already a known fact that, finance is made available to them through several Islamic fundamentalist groups. Even petrodollars from the Middle East are suspected to have been playing a significant role. Corrupt officers in the revenue department, in the forest department, as well as in the police force, top politicians and bureaucrats have played a significant role in facilitating such illegal and anti-national deals of land transfer to fatten their vote banks. Sometimes also for the greed of money, poor tribals have sold their lands at a very high price to the Muslim immigrants because they are always ready to pay the money. And this phenomenon has been largely noticed in Borpeta district of Assam, bordering Bangladesh, many areas of Kokrajhar and Udalguri districts, and as well as Dhubri district. There has also been an abnormal increase in the number of villages in these districts, which I just mentioned, especially during the 50-year period from 1961 to 2011. Census reports say this. And this has been despite the fact that the native people of Assam, they hardly change their places of residence unless compelled by some critical environmental circumstances or natural disasters. Now, if we recall, till 1826, till the signing of the Treaty of Yandabu and the establishment of the British Empire, Assam was the stronghold of a fiercely independent Ahom kingdom. It had thwarted multiple attempts of invasions by bloodthirsty Islamic invaders like Bakhtiyar Khilji and Mir Jumla, who were compelled to leave from here, and they never again dared to come back. Several different groups of people and communities have been living peacefully in the plains and hills of Assam since the medieval times, from a long time. But at present, the demography of the state has been dangerously altered. The environment, forests, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, the grazing reserves, the protected grazing reserves, as well as the village grazing reserves, government lands belonging to Assamese Hindu religious institutions such as the Hotras and the Namghars, etc. They all have been seriously affected. In many districts, there are several indigenous tribal communities who have been reduced to a minority. They are now facing the threat of socio-cultural extinction in their own lands, chiefly because of the uncontrolled infiltration of hordes of people from Bangladesh, their subsequent population explosion, and land encroachment. So see, these are the two sensitive issues that are so deeply interconnected: illegal immigration and land encroachment, which are majorly responsible for the continuous marginalization of several indigenous tribes of the state. And besides land encroachment by illegal immigrants, natural calamities also like floods, erosion, siltation, etc., they have placed enormous pressure on the available land, which is already sparse. I would like to mention a case in point here, the demographic transition of Lumding. There's a place called Lumding in Nagaon district of central Assam, and Nagaon is one among the several districts of Assam where Vidya ji just mentioned in the beginning about the Dhing rape case. So Dhing is a place in Nagaon district, and this district, Nagaon district, has severely borne the brunt of the state's demographic problem. I'm talking about this place called Lumding in Nagaon district. If we see the census of 1901, 31% of the population of Lumding consisted of Hindu Dimasa tribes. But today, as of today, census data barely finds any count of these same tribes in the district. So the question is, where did these people go? Either many of them, they got wiped out completely, or for the their lives, they moved out with their families to other districts as a result of the increasing pressure on their land and resources by the incoming immigrant population. A few years back, I remember a leading Assamese newspaper, I'm forgetting the name right now, it had reported that out of some more than lakhs, 1,44,000 voters in Lumbing constituency, only 10,000 were Hindu Dimasas. And even this name, the name of this place, Lumbing, it is rooted in the Hindu Dimasa language. Lumbing was once the traditional homeland of the Dimasas. But today, it is chiefly dominated by a non-indigenous population of immigrants. The natives were not just stripped of their land rights, but they have also been rendered economically vulnerable. As a result of their economic vulnerability, they have become politically insignificant. So sadly, not a single Dimasa person has represented the constituency till date. If we also go back into history and check for the historical meaning and origins of the names of many places in Assam which are now absolutely Muslim dominated, especially in the crucial Nagaon district of central Assam, like Hojai, Jamunamukh, Rupohi, Dhing, etc. When we go into the history of the names of these places, they all have a Hindu origin. But at present, these places, they are under a severe demographic stress. And Hindus who prefer to choose silence, rather than engaging themselves in an honest debate on this issue, have failed to realize that it is this same silence which has indirectly helped nurture a political vote bank based on selectively ignoring the long-term consequences and socio-political implications of the problem of immigration and demographic change. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ankita ji,
Remember anything?
No, I know, I can understand it. It must be so difficult that you are even witnessing it. You had mentioning a few days ago about the difficulties about, for women folk, especially for Hindu women, to leave their homes. What is the current scenario right now? I mean, we know what's happening in Manipur and Bengal. So what is happening in Assam to the Hindu women folk? Please go ahead.
Right, yes. So the ramifications of the unabated infiltration of people from Bangladesh, the way they have been encroaching upon people's lands, the crime patterns, if we observe, most importantly, when you are asking me the question about women, the crime patterns, if we observe, in many places, they have vastly changed. So the perpetrators are always from one community, the victims are always from one community. Forced abductions, conversions of Hindu girls, and even married Hindu women into Islam, this has become a routine problem. If we observe, there is a distinct pattern in these crimes against women. The Bangladeshi Muslim men, now see, we need to understand a little bit of psychology here. They are continuously used to seeing their women in a certain kind of attire, irrespective of all seasons and on all occasions. So when they come and settle here in a place like Assam, which has a significant population of tribes, of different tribes, they see our Assamese Hindu women going out to take a bath or for fishing in the nearby river, wearing a one-piece chadar, covering themselves from their breasts to below their knees. So these people who have come from strictly regulated Islamic societies, they simply cannot accept this sense of independence and freedom of our women. And they immediately begin objectifying them. And the result is what we all are witnessing at present. I have come across this phenomenon during my studies in different places of Assam while I was completing my PhD. The rate of employment of child laborers has also recorded a sharp increase in Assam over the years. And this is a completely new phenomenon which was not witnessed in the indigenous Assamese society earlier. Prostitution previously was not a problem in our society. but now many urban areas, not just the city of Guwahati, are in the grip of large-scale prostitution, where women of immigrant Bangladeshi stock are found to have been mostly involved. And as a result of this, the spread of dreadful diseases such as HIV/AIDS has multiplied manifold. You want me to talk a little bit about the Hindu religious places of worship and their safety, Vidyaji?
Yes, please go ahead, Ankita. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so coming to the Hindu religious places of worship and especially their safety in the Muslim dominated areas, I would say perhaps not a single Hindu temple in the Muslim majority districts like Dhubri and Borpeta has been spared by thieves and burglars. And these attacks have increased drastically since the COVID pandemic. I'll give you a few such examples of a few incidents that began from around May 2020. And these are not just incidents against Hindu religious places of worship, but also how crimes have increased manifold against Hindus, especially since the COVID pandemic. There was this incident of one poor Hindu vegetable seller. His name was Sanatan Deka, who he was brutally lynched and killed by a gang of Muslims led by one Faizul Haq and his friends. And this incident happened in the famous temple town of Hajo in Lower Assam during the month of Ramzan. I think this was in May 2020, this incident. Again, within a span of just a few days, there was another case after the Sanatan Deka episode. There was this another incident of stabbing and killing of one person, Rituparna Pegu. And this incident happened in the heart of Guwahati city in broad daylight. It involved a minor tiff. This person was lynched and killed by a group of 5 Muslim men in the daytime. There was yet another horrific incident that came to light around the same time, but hardly any media house reported it. A 20-year-old boy, a Hindu boy, Saurav Das from Dibrugarh, he was murdered by 3 Muslim men on the charge of having an affair with a Muslim girl from their community who resided in the neighborhood. So this pattern has been repeating all over again till date. There was this another incident with a doctor at this place, Hojai, which is the place of the perfume business of Bradruddin Ajmal in Nagaon district of Central Assam. This incident happened in June 2020 when a young doctor who was recently posted at one of the COVID care centers, he was thrashed, he was beaten by an Islamic mob after a COVID-19 positive patient died during the treatment. And the horrific scene of the assault, you can just Google it and this is available everywhere. The scene was horrific, which was presumably recorded on somebody's Android phone, and it triggered a sharp protest from the community of doctors and the general public alike. And it could be clearly seen in the video how the Islamic mob continued to thrash the Hindu doctor brutally, even after the incident came to be noticed. There was, I'm just giving you a few examples. There was this another incident on the 5th of August 2020. 5th of August 2020 is very significant for Hindus throughout the country and abroad when we were celebrating an important civilizational victory of a tedious legal battle of over 500 years. That is the Bhumi Pujan ceremony of the Ram Mandir on 5th of August 2020. Assam was also celebrating it. But in this place called, the name of this place is Thelamara. In Sonitpur district of Assam, in this area, this region of Thelamara Suti Pahar area under Thelamara police station in Tejpur, illegal Bangladeshi immigrants who had settled in the area, they attacked a rally that was taken out by the local people of the area to the historic Haragori temple, which is situated in that region, in that area. And the procession was organized by the Dhekiajuli unit of the Bajrang Dal, Ram Sena and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad to mark the Bhumi Pujan ceremony of the Ram Mandir at Ayodhya. And this, in this act of violence, several members of the Bajrang Dal, BHP, and Ram Sena, they were injured. When the rally was approaching towards the Gauri Mandir, situated in a small hill in the area, for performing puja on the occasion, the Bangladeshi migrants attacked the people in the rally with lethal arms and weapons. So from where are they acquiring these arms and weapons? So, and at that time, it was reported that the attackers also kept about 25 persons captive for a long time. They had burnt motorcycles and several other vehicles. And this particular attack by illegal immigrants upon members of the Hindu community with the use of lethal arms, it raised an important question. Like I just mentioned, what is the source from where these people of doubtful nationality, who mostly survive on menial jobs such as day laborers, rickshaw pullers, how are they procuring arms? So it certainly has to have a bigger nexus involving many players that have been working at several different fronts to Islamize Bharat by demographic occupation and the accompanying population explosion. A few years, in fact, this area that I mentioned, Thelamara, Sutipahar, several incidents of rape and molestation have been happening continuously for over the past several years. There was this one incident of rape and murder of a Nepali woman at a place called Garudaba near Sutipahar under Thelamara police station. During my interactions with the locals here, they had mentioned how some influential land mafias have been selling lands to suspected illegal Bangladeshis, and this has been responsible for changing the entire demographics of the area within just a time period of a few years. And it was during the later years of the Congress government in the state that because the Congress ruled for 3 terms from 2001 till 2016, and it was during the later years of the Congress party rule in the state that the local representatives of the party were reportedly, they were indirectly helping and supporting these illegal settlers to carry out their anti-social activities. And it is this politically motivated encroachment of land, including lands belonging to Hindu religious institutions such as temples, our namghars, that has now become a serious existential crisis for the Hindus of Assam. Many suspected illegal Bangladeshis have settled not only in the area surrounding the Tejpur Legislative Assembly constituency, but also in several other adjoining areas, including the famous Bumuraguri bridge to the Vishnu Prasad Rabha Samadhi Kshetra that is on the north bank of the Brahmaputra. They have occupied huge chunks of government land. And among the 9 assembly constituencies in Sunitpur district, 4 of them, Biswanath, Sutia, Tejpur, and Barchala. These 4 of them have been the most highly affected ones. And what they do, I'll tell you about their modus operandi. After encroaching land, after occupying land, and they make these areas their safe haven. And it is after that these illegal immigrants start carrying out their various unlawful activities such as car lifting, burglary, theft, robbery, love jihad, running of cow syndicates, in close association with certain local influential forces. Before concluding this, another incident is coming to I can remember this another incident that took place in September 2020, and these incidents have been very common, but this was something which had garnered quite some media coverage at that time. There is this Vaishnavite monastery in Borpeta district of Lower Assam, Gonakuchi Hotra, which was ransacked, and the Guru Akhon is the main, it can be understood as the main Garbhagriha, where the Bhagavad Puran is kept on a 7-tiered wooden throne. It was burned, it was reduced to ashes by the name of this person was Rafiqul Ali. Who also threw away the precious belongings of the Satra, including the religious texts here and there. The culprit had also thrown away the Mahaprasad that was kept in front of the Akhon. And during my interactions with several local residents of these areas, they had asserted that such acts of vandalism against Hindu temples and namghars are quite common in their areas where Muslims have become a majority. They are planned, they are done with a sinister agenda to, with a sinister intent they are committed by a circle, by a gang which has been responsible for inciting and radicalizing the local Muslim youth. They have not only looted our temples, but they have also caused severe infrastructural damage to them. So the most important question is, like, when one side is actively seeking for violence at even the most minor instances, it lays bare, right, the liberal hypocrisy of all cultures and civilizations being tolerant and secular.
Definitely.
I should stop
And
now.
you're mentioning about the crisis of the Hindus, the places of worship, the women, and everything. And Assam is very famous for the Vaishnavite sattras. And can you elaborate on the crisis they are facing?
Right. Yeah. So the Vaishnavite institution of the Satra is a part of the, I would say it is a part of the living cultural heritage of Assam, carrying forward the religious and cultural legacy of Mahapurush Srimanta Shankar Dev within the broader umbrella of Sanatana Dharma. It is the Satra is the spiritual nerve center of the Assamese Hindu society. It has functioned as a place of religious congregation over thousands of years. But in the recent years, several demographic changes have taken place in and around the lands of the Satras situated in different places of Assam. And this is chiefly attributed to the illegal influx of immigrants from Bangladesh. At present, a demographic and not just a demographic, but a socio-cultural crisis engulfs most of the Satras of Assam. There was this newspaper report I was just going through in the morning today, which was this was published way back in September 2010, where it was mentioned that more than 7,000 bighas of land belonging to 39 Satras of Assam are in the grip of illegal encroachers of doubtful nationality. So obviously of Bangladeshi origin. And this was the opinion which was put forward at that time by the then advisor of the Akhom Hotra Mahasabha. Akhom Hotra Mahasabha is the parent organization of all the Hotras of Assam, Sri Bhadrakrishna Goswami. It was during this time that the Guwahati High Court had also directed the state government of Assam to clear all lands of these Satras from illegal encroachment. And in this respect, the deputy commissioners and the SPs, the superintendents of police of all the districts under which these Satras fall, they had been directed to evict the encroachers at the earliest. Some of the worst affected Satras have been those in the border districts, especially the Ramraikuti Satrasal Hotra in Dhubri district, Rampur Hotra in Nagaon district, Adi Elengi Hotra, even the Borbeta Satra, Kobaikota and Alipukuri Hotras in Moregaon district, and a few more. In fact, this Ramraikuti Satra in Dhubri district, it was reported to have almost 1,000 bighas of land occupied by illegal encroachers, of which around 500 bighas are located in the no man's land along the India-Bangladesh border. Former Assam Chief Minister Sri Sarbananda Sonowal, while visiting the Bordwa Satra in Nagaon district of Central Assam, after it was cleared of encroachers in September 2016, had clearly mentioned that the eviction process will continue till all the 700 Satras across the state are made free from illegal encroachers. And his successor and the current Chief Minister, Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma, is doing all the best possible that he can in this regard.
Ankita ji, talking about Satras, the other religious places, the madrasas, so-called madrasas, what would you speak about the decision Yeah, about Himanta Biswa Sarma regarding the closure of the madrasas. In what way has it been enabling Islamic radicalization?
Right. Yeah. So the government of Assam, it had enforced this act, the Assam Repealing Act, to abolish all the state-run madrasas. And after this act was passed in the assembly, I don't remember the exact figure, but more than 600 such madrasas were converted into general schools from the 1st of April 2021 onwards. And in this context, the Assam Repealing Act of 2020 was passed to abolish this Assam Madrasa Education Provincialization Act of 1995 and the Assam Madrasa Education Provincialization of Services of Employees and Reorganization of Madrasa Educational Institutions Act of 2018. This decision was made by Chief Minister Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma in February 2021 when he was serving as the Education and Finance Minister of the government of Assam under former Chief Minister Sarvananda Sonowal. And following the enforcement of this act, the State Madrasa Education Board in Assam was abolished. And this decision on the closure of madrasas in Assam needs to be understood, as you correctly said, in the light of the growing Islamic radicalization in the state. There are several intelligence reports which have time and again pointed fingers at the Jamaat-e-Islami and its patron, that is Pakistan's ISI, because both of them have been actively using the madrasas, which have proliferated in increasing numbers along the India-Bangladesh border to infiltrate migrants into India who can be used as spies. And there are distinct jihadi networks in Assam. The Jamaatul Mujahideen has been Jamaatul Mujahideen. It has been active, especially after the 2012 Boro Muslim riots in Kokrajhar district. Assam is the target of these jihadis, as reported by several leading newspapers of the country. Security and analysts have already been conveying this threat regarding Assam being on the hotspot of the jihadis for a long time now. If we recall, there was this former chief Zawahiri, Ayman al-Zawahiri of Al-Qaeda, who had mentioned relevant information through one of his YouTube videos. I think that video is still available in YouTube, and he was mentioning that Assam is not just Kashmir. Assam is also in the game plan of Al-Qaeda. And I remember there was this case of 5 jihadis most wanted by the NIA who were from Borpeta district in Lower Assam. One was from Bangladesh, but it was revealed that he was married to a woman from Assam. In 2016, 10 jihadis were reported to have entered India on the 10th of July 2016. And Dhaka had also given the government of India a list of 10 jihadis with photographs at that time. And it was believed that they had taken refuge in either Assam or some bordering district of West Bengal. And presence of the jihadi network is a cause of concern in southern Assam, that is in Barak Valley as well, which borders Bangladesh, especially the border district of Karimganj. Now, see, these jihadis are able to find support from a vast cross section of the society. There are government officials. There are political parties involved in this. Political parties which harbor a typical India bashing attitude as their primary objective, all with the aim of creating a Lebensraum or living space for the increasing population of the Bangladeshi immigrants. So these jihadis and their patroners and their patronizers, they have also been very, very active in supporting different insurgents of the Northeast, such as the ULFA, the United Liberation Front of Assam. They help these insurgents to create disturbances in the region so that their goal of Islamic fundamentalism can be furthered. At present, it is the ABT, that is the Ansarullah Bangla team, which is an affiliate of the AQIS. AQIS is the Al Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. This affiliate of the AQIS, the Ansarullah Bangla team, it is reportedly spreading its jihadi wings in Assam. The Assam police had also arrested around 41 operatives of this organization, the ABT, Ansarullah Bangla team, in September 2022. And the most dangerous part of it is that educated Muslim youth with clear motivation are being increasingly targeted. They are being increasingly radicalized. Also, the epicenter of the global Salafi movement has now moved eastwards, centered mainly in Bangladesh, but not just Bangladesh, but it also encompasses many parts of Assam, especially the border districts of Lower Assam. So accordingly, the radicalization efforts are also becoming more and more sophisticated based on advanced technology, whose reach and range the special branch of the Assam police is continuously trying to navigate. Now, when most of these jihadis, they first infiltrate into Assam, they begin settling in the areas dominated by their own people, so that, during any emergency or any crisis, they have the support of their kith and kin. And gradually they develop local contacts, they purchase land, and sometimes they have even gone to the extent of marrying local Hindu girls. And it is really surprising how over the years, even without being either a citizen of India or a permanent resident of the village where they are residing, these jihadi elements could acquire immovable property, such as land, in complete violation of the laws and rules of the country. So certainly there has to be people in the bureaucracy, from top level officers to junior employees, who have been facilitating these people. But the situation in this regard is assuming a far more dangerous pattern, since these jihadis are reported to have established contacts with different insurgent groups in Nagaland, Manipur, and Myanmar for training purposes, and also for funds and for acquiring modern weapons. So the network is very vast, very huge, very, very dangerous.
Absolutely. In recent times, Assam and Himanda Biswa Sarma was in the spotlight because of the Miya identity issue. Can you explain what is the Miya identity issue and who benefits from it?
Oh, yes. The question of Miya identity has been raised time and again in the socio-political discourse of Assam, sometimes in the form of Miya poetry, sometimes as Miya Gan, that is Miya song. Now, the recent was Miya Bihu. Now, see, what is Miya? Let me explain this first. Miya is a colloquial form of address that is used by most common men and women of Assam to designate the Bangladeshi origin Muslims. And it is a commonplace reference which is used to describe their language, their food habits, their culture, which are very different from the native Assamese community. But over the past few years, if you see, the same Miya identity has been hailed as some kind of a laurel in the light of the increasing immigrant population in the state and the changing demographics. There are people with vested interests from the so-called lobby of intellectuals and academicians who seem to be delighted by the emergence and acceptance of this identity, of this Miya identity, by the immigrant Muslim population in Assam. So this is an important development that naturally raises one basic fundamental question. Isn't the assertion and adaptation of this particular moniker, that is Miya, by the Bangladeshi Muslim community, isn't it same with the Do Qaumi Nazariya that was espoused and propagated by the Muslim League and Muhammad Ali Jinnah in 20th century British India? We all know what happened eventually, right? The creation of Pakistan, and the rest is history. So what if this yearning for a separate identity, for a separate Miya identity, someday in the near future, result in a demand by this particular population of Miyas, that is the Bangladeshi Muslims, declaring themselves as a separate nation. Because after all, the system of separate electorates was the root cause behind the creation of Pakistan, right? If we view in retrospect. And this is a question worth asking by every rational mind. Appeasement politics bred its own problems in pre-independent India. In post-independent India, we have seen what it has done. It is equally responsible for the continuation and consolidation of the do Qaumi Nazariya of Muslim politics since the pre-partition days. So, the glorification and over-glorification of a separate Miya identity in Assam implies a reinvention of Jinnah's two-nation theory, and in doing so, it defames the larger Assamese society both at the national and the international levels. The simple, peace-loving people of Assam, they have their own share of contribution in facilitating the upward economic mobility of the Bangladeshi Muslims. See, we have employed their men as laborers in our fields. We have also employed their women as maids and servants in our homes. But now they are raping, they are molesting our girls and our women. And also by vouching for a separate micro identity, that is a separate Miya identity within the larger Assamese regional identity, these people are now implicitly supporting the creation of another separate nation within the Indian nation. And their claim, like through Miya poetry, they have been claiming that they are facing suffering and humiliation in the hands of the Assamese Hindus in Assam. This is simply ridiculous, because had it been so, how have they managed to take part in India's largest democratic exercise in the elections? Also, you see, by virtue of the same democratic process, they are becoming the representatives of their so-called Miya community within the larger Assamese society since the time of independence. And most importantly, their increasing numbers in each consecutive census, this is something which we cannot overlook. They have easy access to all government facilities. They have easy access to all government schemes. So what kind of suffering they are talking about? What kind of suffering they are facing in Assam? It's nothing but sheer propaganda. They are able to own land. They are competing for government jobs at par with rest of the society. They are even contesting elections. But their names, these people's names, are always at the forefront of any criminal activities, whether it is rape, whether it is molestation, whether it is forced abduction of Hindu girls, whether it is cow smuggling, forcible occupation of land, etc., drug smuggling. Their names are always at the forefront. That is why I said the perpetrators are always the same, the victims are always the same. But the espousal of a separate Miya identity, this is nothing but victimhood politics that the Bangladeshi Muslims in Assam, in collusion with a corrupt communist academia, have always been playing to garner as much sympathy as possible for their cause. They are extremely clever. They are extremely adept at the art of setting the narrative at the global level. And this they have been doing strategically to achieve a long-term objective. And this objective is to establish a separate Miya land, which has all the potentials of becoming a clarion call for a separate nation in the near future. They are backed by a powerful international lobby of authors, of intellectuals, poets, human rights activists, NGO workers, etc. I remember there was this woman research scholar who proudly calls herself a Miya woman research scholar at Guwahati University. She had posted a Facebook update in the year 2018 where she could be seen that she was enjoying the victory of Pakistan over India at a cricket match. And she had also said that she was celebrating Pakistan's victory over India in the match by eating beef. The Assam police had immediately taken note of this Facebook post and registered a suo motu case against her under the Information Technology Act. But the question is, what prompted this lady to commit such an act in the very first place? She's staying in Assam. she is utilizing all the resources. She has economically progressed in her life. So is she so naive to not have known that former East Pakistan, that is present day Bangladesh, was exploited to the hilt by today's Pakistan? And by posting such offensive pictures in social media that she's celebrating the victory of Pakistan over India in the cricket match, and she's celebrating it by eating beef, wasn't she also giving vent to the long harbored dream of a few Muslim leaders who wanted to make Assam an Islamic nation at the time of India's independence? So, a separate Miya identity poses serious threats to the complex sub-regional metrics of the Assamese polity, because a separate branch of Miya poetry or Miya song or Miya Bihu or the demand for a Miya museum itself contain the seeds of a separate nationhood that proudly disowns India and an Indian identity. Chief Minister Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma has continuously tried to draw the attention of the larger Indian public to this problem of Assam. His speeches on this subject in the recent assembly sessions were infused with a lively gusto that not only influenced the opinions of the youth, but have also been able to convince others about the threat to the Assamese identity and the Assamese culture, and the need for it to be protected right now. So it might sound like a politically incorrect concern or even academically suicidal to talk about for some people, but there are certain genuine fears, as I mentioned in the beginning. The fear of becoming an alien in one's own land, that has more to do with culture and civilization. There has been a continuous disappearance of non-Muslim communities from the border districts of Lower Assam. Where did these people go? And at a time when the issue of Islamic immigration has become a serious cause of concern in the Western countries and their political systems, so it is too naive to not expect a reaction from the people of Assam. The assertion of a separate Miya identity by the Bangladeshi Muslims, the sensitive border state like Assam, is nothing but a precursor to Jinnah's two-nation theory, which has always been the guiding force of the Islamist political imagination since the very beginning. And it also, in a way, I feel, it provides further fuel to the increasing Arabization of the Bangladeshi Muslims in Assam, who even today adore an invader like Mir Jumla as their hero. So the changing demographic character of several districts in Assam in this context simply cannot be overlooked.
Right. Ankita, in connection with what you were just talking about, you were mentioning about, certain foreign media, which like Al Jazeera and similar kind of media houses, which were trying to project, the eviction drive which happened in 2021. Could you throw some light on that? And why did that eviction drive happen? And what did this foreign media gain by trying to promote it as an anti-Muslim movement by the BJP government?
You want me to explain the entire the Gurukuti eviction drive, or Vidyaji, can you explain a little bit more, because there was also a temple where the eviction took place. Sorry, pardon.
No, the eviction drive which happened in 2021, which was being projected as an anti-Muslim movement by the foreign media, like for example Al Jazeera, they were trying to promote it.
Yes.
Like, just a few basics on
right. That. Yeah. So there was this eviction drive at a place called Gurukuti. Gurukuti in Dorong district of Lower Assam, which I mentioned in the beginning. And because they were, of course, the eviction drive was it was done by the at the directions of the state government and the state administration because of illegal encroachment. So the encroachers had to be removed from the place. And there is a very famous ancient temple, a Shiv Mandir in that area, and lands of the Shiv Mandir had also been encroached upon by these Muslim immigrants. But immediately, this particular eviction at Borukuti caught the headlines of the international news media like Al Jazeera TV and Pakistan's Dawn newspaper as well. And this was at a time when our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, was on a tour of the US. And Pakistan even summoned India's Foreign Office and conveyed its concern over the Borukuti eviction drive, alleging that Muslims have been victimized and targeted by the Indian state of Assam. And the Indian diplomat was also told that India must investigate the recent anti-Muslim violence in Assam. Everywhere, if you type, if you do a Google search, you go to the internet and do a Google search of Borukuti eviction drive, Al Jazeera, New York Times, this Dawn TV of Pakistan, everywhere you will see anti-Muslim violence erupts in Assam, anti-Muslim sentiment in Assam. And so Pakistan had especially requested one Indian diplomat that the perpetrators should be punished immediately. Besides undertaking measures to stop such eviction drives in the near future. But most importantly, this incident, I would say, it again drew our attention to the issue of land, because land is the primary target of these encroachers. And it was a long pending demand of various organizations in Assam, including the All Assam Students Union, ASU, to clear large scale encroachments from this Dholpur Borukuti area. The situation of the Hindus here is too despicable to be even described. Dacoities, robberies, rapes, molestation of Hindu girls in broad daylight, various other antisocial activities have become so commonplace in these areas that alone you fear traveling in these areas during the daytime. Leave about night, leave about after evening, after it becomes dark. Even in the daytime, you will feel scared to travel alone in these areas. In fact, recently also, Chief Minister Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma was talking about the security, the safety and security of the female teachers, of the Hindu teachers who are working in the Muslim-dominated areas of Assam regarding their safety.
So, yes, and not only just the economic landscape of Assam is also changing, from what I'm understanding. And can you explain how they have captured the fishing industry?
Yeah, sure. This is a very important topic which we need to understand, because by capturing the fish industry, the fishing sector in Assam, they have been able to establish their foothold in the entire economic space of the state. The fish industry in Assam, it was the traditional stronghold of the socio-economically marginalized Hindu Koiborta community. They are recognized as a scheduled caste in Assam who depended heavily on fishing for their livelihood, and also various other allied activities such as weaving, repairing fishing nets, construction of boats, and selling fish. Now, Assam, if you see, it is a state full of rivers and lakes. The north bank of the Brahmaputra, in particular, is rich in several large water bodies, which are extremely rich in natural resources. With some imagination and planning, these lakes could have been converted into profitable fisheries. But instead of doing that, Assam began importing thousands of tons of fish from other states of the country, especially Andhra Pradesh. Presently, only a handful of these lakes are being utilized for fishing activities or pisciculture. And that is precisely why Assam gradually became dependent on fishes imported in large quantities from outside the state, because there was no planning on the part of the government, on the part of the successive governments, to develop these lakes into commercial fisheries. I doubt whether even a well-sketched map of these natural water bodies may have been prepared either by the state's revenue department or the fishery department regarding as to how they can be utilized for not just pisciculture, but also for developing them into ecotourism centers. So in the absence of well demarcated boundaries and any and a plan, it has been possible to encroach upon these lakes. The immigrant Bangladeshi origin Muslims, they have proven extremely enterprising in this regard. Their increasing dominance in the fishing sector of Assam became prominent, especially from the late 1990s and the early 2000s. See, for hundreds of years, the lifestyle of the fishermen from the Koiborto community, it has been shaped by the life cycle of the wetlands and the lakes because they have stayed closer to these water bodies. They practiced fishing when the wetlands were full of water during the monsoons, and they engaged in rice cultivation when water was scarce during the dry season. But changing weather cycles and shortage of rainfall, erratic rainfall patterns over the years has been an important factor in minimizing the wetlands water supplies. So there was a time when water would overflow the paddy fields during the harvest season, but then again, rains were delayed by several months. And because of the changing rainfall patterns, the water requirements of the aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems for which wetlands act as a medium is not met. Climate change and anthropogenic activities began to threaten the wetlands, as a result of which the overall productivity of fish, which is the staple diet of the Assamese people, began to decline sharply. Rice production also declined due to the accumulation of excessive silt in the wetlands because of upstream pollution, agricultural encroachment, which eventually led to the loss of livelihoods of the Koiborto community. And this was when the extremely hardworking Bangladeshi Muslims gradually began capturing the fish market of Assam. Earlier, the traditional Koiborto fishermen used homemade traditional nets. They used to make it in their homes to capture fish, and these fishing nets were made in a way that did not entrap young fishes and their eggs. Since for them it was a traditional vocation, they took proper care of each and every aspect of fishing. For the Koibortos, it was not simply a profession; it was their heritage, it was their culture. But this was not true for the Bangladeshi Muslims. Even if the productivity of fish was low in a certain year, the Koibortos would use natural means and techniques to increase the production of fish in the next year, which did not harm the environment or the water bodies. But as soon as the Bangladeshi Muslims captured the fishing business, the fishing industry, they only had one motive in their minds, that is to make money, to earn profit. And in many places, the system of wet rice cultivation was extended by these immigrants into right up to the bed of the lakes, which adversely impacted the environment, but also hastened the process of the depletion of the stock of fish of the water bodies, because the original size and depth of the lakes was reduced over a period of time. And eventually, the lakes dried up and they were then put to use as paddy fields. But when this was beginning to happen in the initial stages, neither the government of Assam nor the indigenous people seem to have realized this threat. The threat that these immigrants were responsible for destroying the rich heritage and potential of the lakes to the detriment of the state and its people. I was talking about the fishing nets, the traditional fishing nets that were handmade by the Koiborto community to catch fish, and how these fishing nets ensured that the young fishes, the small fishes, and their eggs are not caught in these nets. But the immigrant Muslims, on the other hand, they are known to use fishing nets which have very small and narrow holes that even entrap young fishes and fish eggs apart from the usual catch. So unlike the big traditional fishing nets or mahajal, as they are locally referred to in the Assamese language, that were used by the Khoiborters, the fishing nets that began to be used by the Muslims for catching fish resemble the look of a mosquito net, I would say. And they trap more fishes than they were supposed to naturally trap. And this is how many different breeds of fishes, which were earlier endemic to Assam and its neighboring regions, have gradually become extinct or are on the verge of almost extinction. The substandard fishing methods used by the immigrant Muslims had an adverse impact on the productive life of the fishes, and these fishes happen to be a critical source of food for several species of birds. So since the food cycle is interconnected, that is why the population of many birds began shrinking in alarming numbers, and they are rarely spotted now. See, there are certain breeds of fish which are endemic to Assam and its neighborhood, as I just mentioned. Scientists and conservationists, time and again, they have laid maximum emphasis on the conservation of these rare breeds of fish. But the Muslim immigrants, continuously, they have undone all these conservation efforts. So we need to understand why and how it has been possible for these people to do whatever they are doing. Because these immigrants, if we go back to their history, the Bangladeshi Muslim immigrants in Assam, they are born and brought up in areas which are near to the river, in the riverine areas. So because of their proximity to the flowing water bodies since childhood, they do not just become expert swimmers, but they also take up fishing from a very early age. They are poor, they struggle for the basic survival. So they adopt any means possible to earn their livelihood. Their desert cult is such that they cannot develop any sense of respect and veneration towards nature. So they exploit nature rather as much as possible wherever they settle, and this has been the primary driving force of their lives and livelihoods, to earn money in whatever way possible. I have had the opportunity of traveling in these areas extensively during the course of my MPhil and PhD fieldwork, and I've noticed their extremely unsympathetic and apathetic attitude towards their natural surroundings. So they simply do not know, they just do not understand how to respond to any program related to environmental conservation. Right from the moment they enter Assam, they engage in indiscriminate fishing activities, even in the protected and prohibited areas. And Muslims, as I already mentioned, they began encroaching upon the wetlands and their adjoining areas, which earlier served as habitats for many different species of migratory birds. By expanding their habitations to the fringe of the lakes and expanding paddy cultivation right up to the bed of the lakes, the Muslims contributed to the rise of pollution as well, besides destroying the rich biodiversities of the areas concerned. The native Assamese people, unfortunately, they prefer to remain silent on this issue, while the government simply ignored the problem when necessary steps should have been taken to address this problem. And the last and the most disastrous effect came about when they began using environmentally and biologically harmful techniques of increasing the production of fishes, all in order to make easy money. So after capturing the fish business, it was easy for the Muslims to establish their dominance in other sectors of the economy of Assam, because a large part of the revenue came to them from the fish business. So they could invest the money in other businesses as well. Recently, Chief Minister Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma had highlighted that a few districts in Assam, I think he had spoken about Nagaon, Morigaon, and Kachar districts of Assam. These three districts are the state's top fish producing districts. But in the same districts, there has been a rampant increase in kidney diseases, which the Honorable Chief Minister attributed to the increasing use of urea by fish farmers, because the fishing industry in these districts is predominantly controlled by Bangladeshi Muslims. In response, immediately, the Muslim fish producers in these districts imposed a fish blockade. They halted fish supplies to different parts of Assam after local organizations in several districts demanded that Bangladeshi Muslims leave the state. So it is extremely important that our local people, the Hindus, and especially those from the Kaivarta community, utilize this opportunity now, better late than never, and grab the fish market again, not through conflicts, but by producing fish in a way that is not just environmentally sustainable, but also which is fit for human consumption.
Right.
I think this is all I have to say.
Yeah. So Ankita ji, now coming to one of the current situations, the Assam government has decided to implement about 57 of the 67 recommendations of the Justice Biplab Sharma committee report. So could you throw some light on the report first and then explain to us why the government has taken such a stance?
Yeah. The government has taken this stance because of all the problems that I was talking about now, mainly from the point of view of land. Okay, so this committee, Biplab Sharma committee, this was appointed by the Union Home Ministry in February 2020, led by retired Justice Biplab Sharma. And this committee had finalized a 91-page report to implement Clause 6 of the Assam Accord of 1985, the Assam Accord, which was signed after the 6-year-long Assam agitation against illegal immigrants. So the Biplab Sharma committee had finalized this more than 90-page report to implement Clause 6 of the Assam Accord of 1985 after consultations with various stakeholders. And the report was submitted to the ruling BJP government in Assam in February 2020, but unfortunately there was no progress on its implementation, despite Honorable Prime Minister Modi assuring at a rally in Assam that same year that the center would work expeditiously to implement Clause 6 once the committee submitted its report. But anyways, the good news now is that after more than 4 years of wait, just a few days back, on the 4th of September, the state cabinet, the Assam state cabinet, has decided to implement 57 out of the total 67 recommendations of the Biplab Sharma committee, and these 57 recommendations fall under the ambit of the state government. Now, here I would like to mention that this decision comes amid a renewed movement in Assam since last month to ensure the protection of the rights of the indigenous communities against Bangladeshi immigrant Muslims. Most clauses of the Assam Accord have been implemented, but this most important Clause 6 of the Assam Accord, successive governments have failed to implement this most important Clause 6, because this Clause 6, when implemented in letter and spirit, this clause would provide the indigenous Assamese people with constitutional, legislative, and administrative safeguards for protecting the cultural, social, and linguistic identity and heritage of the Assamese people. Even when the anti-CAA protests had erupted in the state 5 years ago, the same issue, that is implementation of the Clause 6 of the Assam Accord, had become a major flashpoint during the anti-CAA protests. And the announcement of the implementation of the Biplab Sharma committee report by the government under the leadership of Chief Minister Himanda Biswa Sarma it is surely a historic milestone, I would say, for Assam, and it stands out as one of the most significant efforts since independence, since 1947, to protect the rights of the people of the state, especially Hindus.
Definitely. Ankita ji, the illegal immigration is a problem all over the world. It has, we had discussed about their problems in Manipur. We have seen the aftermath of Jammu and Kashmir, and we are seeing how it is ravaging Europe at the moment. And the commission report is providing some light into the solutions and all that. In your opinion, what are the possible solutions in Assam's context that we could mitigate the effects of illegal immigration?
Right. So most importantly, we need not understand this problem only from the point of view of economics, because trying to understand it from the economic perspective, like, so these immigrants are poor, they have come to Assam or any other part of the country for a livelihood, in search of a livelihood. By doing that, we are trying to somehow justify illegal immigration, which is wrong, because it is a threat to our national security. It is a threat to our limited agricultural land and resources. And the increasing spate of illegal migrants from across the border has increased so many conflicts, so many different problems that we see in our society today. So most importantly, we should not reduce reduce this issue to the binaries of Hindu-Muslim divide, as has been done in the media and certain academic circles, because otherwise it wouldn't generate the sense of political awareness regarding illegal immigration. So the fear of becoming a minority in one's own land, as I mentioned, it has more to do with culture and civilization, and it is not simply a religious matter. Of course, there is the religious angle to it, but the most importantly, it is about preserving a community's culture and civilization, because when a culture is lost, everything is lost. And the Supreme Court of India, which is the country's highest judicial authority, had also taken note of this crisis, the illegal immigration crisis, and the consequent demographic change in Assam. And the Supreme Court itself termed it as an external aggression. This was the case of Sarbananda Sonowal versus Union of India in 2005, where the court clearly stated, and I would like to quote here what the court said: "This being the situation, there can be no matter of doubt that the state of Assam is facing external aggression and internal disturbance on account of the large-scale migration of Bangladeshi nationals. It therefore becomes the duty of the Union of India to take all measures for protection of the state of Assam from such external aggression and internal disturbance as enjoined in Article 355 of the Constitution of India." Having regard to this constitutional mandate, the question arises whether the Union of India has taken any measures for that purpose. This is what the Supreme Court has said. So the problem of illegal immigration, as you just mentioned, Ravishankar ji, has assumed a very dangerous dimension, not just in Assam, but across the world at this point of time. So we simply cannot understand this problem anymore from the same set of liberal principles of freedom or secularism, because it is all about self-preservation and protection of the culture of a community in the wake of a serious threat to their survival. Coming to solutions. Most importantly, and the first and the foremost solution is the construction of border roads and completing border fencing. Sealing the international border with Bangladesh and the riverine areas is a must. And by this, I do not simply mean the Assam-Bangladesh border, but also the Meghalaya-Bangladesh border and the Mizoram-Bangladesh border. So all these borders in the northeast, construction of border roads and fencing has to be complete on a war footing. There should be an increase in mobile police stations so that border patrolling can be increased in the border regions. More patrolling needs to be conducted along the entry points and exit points of immigration, besides ensuring strict punishment for any government official, any border security official, in case they are not fulfilling their duties related to illegal immigration. revenue officials who are responsible for registering land and other immovable property to Bangladeshi immigrants, they, in case of any crimes they commit, it should be regarded as a non-bailable offense. All kinds of corruption, especially corruption linked with legalization of immigrants, providing them with ration cards, voter ID cards, all these kinds of crimes should be dealt with strictly by the Indian state. All their basic facilities, such as health benefits, pension, employment benefits, all of these should be curtailed. The Border Security Force, BSF, should be given power to shoot at sight in case of illegal entry into the country. This is a must. Also, strict policy measures, including an error-free and a computerized NRC, National Register of Citizens, for the detection of immigrants and withdrawing their political rights. By political rights, I mean voting and contesting for elections. Withdrawing these rights from the immigrants is something which is very, very important. Implementation of Chapter 10 of the Assam Land Revenue Regulation of 1886. Implementation of this chapter implementation of Chapter 10 of the Assam Land Revenue Regulation of 1886, which is about the protection of tribal lands and taking measures to restore tribal lands which have been encroached by non-tribals or specifically by Muslims in various parts of Assam. In violation of this act, is extremely important to protect the rights of the native population through land protection. Because till the time they do not have land, they are not safe. So common property resources such as forest lands, wetlands, hills, grazing lands, they need to be protected as well. Also, it might be debatable, but at this point of time, I would say it has become all the more important that the government makes a law ensuring that people who came to Assam after 1951, so the Assam Accord has the base year as 1971, but we need to go back to the base year of 1951. So people who came to Assam after 1951 and their descendants, there has to be a law on this, that these people simply they are not allowed to purchase land in Assam, and any violation of this should be strictly punished. Currently, according to the 6th schedule of the Constitution of India, the Karbi Anglong Autonomous Council and the Dima Hasao Autonomous Council in Assam, they can make laws pertaining to land alienation. And similar rights can be exercised by the Bodoland Territorial Council as well. But what is important with these special rights is the fact that they do not only ensure additional rights to the tribal communities, but curb and modify the rights of outsiders as well, including even legal citizens from other parts of the country and even the state. So thereby disallowing encroachment. But I think an attempt of a similar nature is probably what the need of the hour is in the entire state of Assam, ensuring constitutional safeguards for the native population, especially in terms of political representation, is extremely important. Because when they do not have political power, they are powerless. They do not have a voice. So at present, in the 126-member Assam Legislative Assembly, a total number of 31 MLAs are Muslims. So in this context, approval of tribal or other special status, approval of scheduled tribe status to backward caste population groups, including Thai, Moran, Matak, Thai, Ahom, Koch, Rajbangshi, and T tribes, which has already been proposed, it can be considered, but it might lead to internal conflicts between the existing ST communities and the proposed tribes. There needs to be a mechanism to ensure equality among all these groups. And most importantly, emphasis needs to be more on self-employment for Hindus in Assam, so that there is less competition between them and the Muslim immigrants over scarce resources and jobs. Also, I feel more awareness needs to be promoted about the problem of demographic change in Assam, not only for posing a threat to the identity of the Assamese culture and civilization, but to the country's national security. Thank you.
Parimal, go ahead.
Pranam, thank you for this opportunity. I have two questions. First is, I also observed the communists projecting language as a major issue of identity rather than cultural and civilizational ties. And that, I think, is creating a major issue in creating awareness among people. So I would like your opinion on this one. And second thing I would like to know is regarding Assam, it's a multi-fronted conflict, like say from all around what we are seeing. So in this case, what is the picture of Rangpur and other regions, particularly Thakurgram, Panchagod, Durgapur, and those districts connecting with Dhuburi in future role, maybe for demographic stabilization? Thank you.
Yeah, regarding what you said about the communist angle and how they have been continuously trying to bring in the language issue, I completely agree with it. And they have always been trying to project the different tribes and communities, because Assam is a land of so many different tribes and communities. So it gives them a very fertile ground to create unnecessary conflicts and disturbances for these people. So they will every time they will bring in this language issue to create, to manufacture unnecessary divisions and differences among people, so that most importantly their Hindu identity, their similarities in terms of culture, in terms of their festivals, in terms of their eating habits, in terms of their dressing sense, all of these can be overlooked, and the people of the and people from the rest of the country can be kept aloof about that. These people belong to a same broader Bharatiya identity and Bharatiya culture. So every time they will bring in the language issue to manufacture conflicts in the society, because it suits them. It suits their political agenda. Regarding the border districts of Dhubri that you have raised, I think we also have discussed it several times personally. I've discussed this with you several times that because the demography in these districts have vastly changed. Dhubri itself, if we see, the demography has changed so much, and Dhubri at a time was the cultural and civilizational pride of Assam. But there is nothing as such in today's Dhubri. It is the most backward district of Assam at this point of time. So what about settling the Hindu, the minority Hindu communities from Bangladesh, the tribes, the Garos, Hajongs, Koch Rajbangshis, etc., in these areas which have become Muslim dominated, the border areas. Okay, and with a proper strategy, at the same time, we need to deport the Muslim immigrants to their respective places of destination. So that can be done. That can be one of the possible solutions, I would say, to address this crisis. I don't know if I'm able to satisfy with the answer.
No, it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Vladimir. I have a few questions I noted here, and I'll ask them actually as probably will take another 5 or 10 minutes. You can answer them briefly. One of them that I have noted here is you mentioned about the inner line permit. So inner line permit is supposed to actually protect the culture of Assam and keep the immigrants or keeping the other people out, which could ruin the culture, isn't it? I am comparing it with the Article 370 of Jammu and Kashmir, but it happens so that it has an adverse effect on Assam than what it did with the Article 370. Article 370 actually protected the Muslim culture over there, but inner line permit actually didn't do so because of the illegal immigration. How do you compare them? Briefly.
Yeah, yes, what you say about Article 70 is correct. Inner line permit, see, we have to understand it from the larger perspective of the Northeast as such, because every time this question, when we are talking about inner line permit with respect to the Northeast, on ground, in reality, whom it has benefited in reality. In the name of protecting the tribal culture, in the name of protecting the so-called unique tribal culture and civilization, the Congress government under Nehru introduced the system of inner line format upon the advice of one famous British anthropologist. But over a period of time, as I mentioned in the beginning of my discussion, it has led to a systematic decline of the dharmic cultural traditions of the traditional dharmic faiths of the different tribal communities in this region. So, in a way, by restricting the entry of outsiders, by outsiders I mean people from other parts of the country, by restricting their entry, that okay, you require an ILP to visit these states. You cannot buy land in these states. So you cannot do this and that. So it created a certain image of the Northeast in the minds of the people from the rest of the country. They could not travel to these places without this document, without this piece of document. And at the same time, it provided a fertile breeding ground for missionary activities to expand their sinister designs, to expand their sinister agenda. As a result, we see the changes. We see the changes in demography, the complete Christianization of this region that has been done, that has been completed over time.
Absolutely. The other question that I had in mind, actually, now in this regard, actually, I don't know anything about it, but I am asking purely curious about the situation. You were mentioning that the Congress government was very lenient on the illegal immigrants from the very beginning, from the time of independence. They were quite lenient on immigrants coming in and settling and all those things. Back in the day, the Congress didn't have much of any opposition or anything like that. What was the need for them to assist this illegal immigration? Because, the entire vote bank was theirs in any case.
Mainly, this was started, which I mentioned. It was started by the British government. So how immigrants were brought in mainly for agricultural cultivation, and the same policy was continued by the Congress government. It was chiefly for political vote bank. It was mainly from the point of view of cultivating a vote bank, which would always ensure that the Congress remained in power. So it was mainly done because of that, and it was from the time of Muhammad Sadullah, Sir Syed Muhammad Sadullah, during the Muslim League ministry in Assam, that it was the migration, the immigration of the Muslims from Bangladesh was executed on the basis of a very well crafted plan, so that people will come and settle down. They will be provided with all the benefits, with everything, and in return, they will keep voting for the Congress party. And this was one of the major reasons why the Congress would survive for so long in power in Assam. It was chiefly for cultivating a political vote bank, nothing else.
Absolutely.
And this, in fact, I would just like to add one more point. This game plan of including Assam in East Pakistan, this gentleman, I don't remember his name right now. I think his name was Moinul Haq Chaudhary, Jinnah's private secretary. He had mentioned that Silet lole bhutor bole, Assam lobo lathor bole. But this was in Bengali. Like we took Silet by a vote, and we will take Assam by Lath. So by Lathi. So we will do this. So this agenda of including Assam in East Pakistan and now Bangladesh, that this has been going on since the pre-independence days, and right now we see the population jihad, that the demographic change that is going on.
Vidya, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Anything else?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, Vidya ji, I can hear you.
So you had mentioned about the Miya land, the proposition for a formation of a Miya land. When you compare the situation of their request for the Miya land, and also in Manipur, what is happening, where you see the cookies, advocating for a cookie zalingam, or a Christian land for the cookies. Of the two situations, which do you think is more difficult for the present Indian government for it to face, which is
Both are difficult, I would say, Vidyaji. Both are difficult because they all are interconnected. These forces are playing together now. On the one hand, the Christian players supporting, who are demanding a separate cookie land, Zalingam, they are all well connected with the Jamaatul Ansar, that is the Sharkia group based in Bangladesh. So these people, they are all interconnected. Whenever in times of any crisis, they press their buttons together everywhere from across the world. So they coordinate and they work in a very coordinating manner. So this is equally dangerous because from my limited understanding, what I have been able to, from the insights that I have been able to gain through based on my studies, they work in collusion with one another to destabilize the Indian state, to restrict our economic progress, to to pose a continuous threat to our national security. That's all. Both are equally dangerous because one is concentrated in, one is about carving of a separate Miya land. So this is an Islamic territory. One is the Christian corridor. So, and both of them working in collusion is a serious threat from the perspective of national security.
Absolutely. You are talking about Congress cultivating a vote bank for our staying in power. My hypothetical question is, what would have happened if BJP never came to power in Assam?
Oh yes, true. I think that is why it is a hypothetical question. We could all imagine what would have happened because at least people are now aware about the issues. People of Assam did not have an option with it. That is why they kept on voting for the Congress. It was not that we supported the Congress, we supported its policies. No, there was no other option. That is why we kept voting for the Congress. So when an option came, we changed. We shifted our loyalty towards this other party. But people have quite a lot of hopes and expectations from BJP, and the current Chief Minister, Dr. Himanda Biswa Sarma ji, is working on a war to address people's sentiments around this issue.
All right. So from my side, probably the last question from my side. We have mentioned about the influence of foreign hands in Manipur and all that, and we see how the foreign hands have done the overthrow of power and everything, that tumultuous situation that is happening in Bangladesh. If you look at it, the narrative was the same. They were saying that in India, the elections were not conducted properly, and there is always a problem with the EVMs and all that. And there also they said the election was illegal, and that's how they overthrew the power. India didn't happen, luckily, but that was the same narrative they were trying to build it here also. Now the US connection with the elections are coming up. Do you think there is a foreign influence in Assam in actually giving them whatever they need and creating actually a demographic shift and possibly a Manipur-like of situation in the future?
Certainly, because when there is certainly a foreign influence, because leave aside everything else, when we go into the issue of this Miya identity, they have a separate page, separate Facebook page, and something. They also have a website, Miya. I don't remember the exact name right now. So you can see the support from people sitting in Columbia University, sitting in some top universities across the world. They are giving lectures, they are organizing conferences and seminars on Miya land, on Miya poetry, and all of these issues. So how can we deny a foreign hand? We simply cannot deny the foreign angle because the Northeast, it is a sensitive border region of Bharat, and destabilizing this entire region, especially because Assam has a border with Bangladesh, Manipur with Myanmar, Mizoram again has a border with Bangladesh and Myanmar. So all these are border states. So destabilizing this region continuously suits the hostile anti-India forces. So we simply cannot rule out the hand of the foreign influence. The Miya identity issue is a very good example of this. So many conferences, seminars, newspaper articles by top by leading professors and so-called academicians and intellectuals teaching in places like JNU and Delhi University. They have written so many different articles, columns, etc., in support of this issue. So you are supporting the creation of a separate Miya land. It means that, right? So we certainly cannot rule out a foreign hand behind this.
Absolutely. I think we have taken enough time, and if Vidyaji doesn't have any more questions, actually we can end it here. It's been a pleasure, like always, having you here, Ankita ji. And as always, actually, it was an eye-opening session, and it was very engaging in terms of what is happening in Assam, which most of the people didn't know either. Vidyaji.
Same, you just said exactly what I had in mind, Ravishankar ji. Ankita ji, it is such an honor, and we pray, we keep you in our prayers. Please take care. The kind of work that you're doing is amazing. I don't know how you do it, but it's simply brilliant seeing you, even with all the national channels also, you've been coming forward with vital information. So I deeply appreciate you for all that work that you do. So take care and stay blessed, and wish you all
my pleasure as
you
well.
All the very best.
And happy Shubh Ganesh Chaturthi to both of you and to each and every member in the audience. Looking forward for more such conversations in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ankita ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.